You notice it before she does. The way her gaze hesitates for a fraction of a second longer than expected. The subtle adjustment of her posture. The micro shifts in her attention that betray an unconscious magnetism you have begun to wield without effort. She is not aware of the psychological chains you have begun to weave, the quiet architecture of perception that has begun to enwrap her mind. Most men move with desperation. They chase, they plead. They overexpose themselves in words, in gestures, in attempts to earn approval they will never truly command. You, however, have learned the hidden law. Attraction is not given. It is not coaxed. It is quietly orchestrated through absence, control, and the patient alignment of presence with purpose. This is the invisible strategy of the men women cannot forget. She feels it, the pull, the subtle gravity of your detachment, the unspoken authority in your composure. It is not charm, nor is it effort. It is the silent demonstration of self-possession, of a man who stands as a singular constant in a chaotic emotional world. You understand that every reaction she has, every flicker of curiosity, is a reflection not of her, but of you. Her mind seeks patterns, it seeks explanation. It attempts to rationalize the sudden intensity of her own attention, but you have given her nothing to rationalize. There is only the presence, only the quiet certainty that emanates from your behavior, unshakable and unknowable, and it captivates her in ways words never could. Imagine the countless men she has encountered, the faces that blur into memory, the voices that fade into white noise. Now imagine the contrast. A man who requires nothing yet commands everything. A man who does not bend, does not flinch, and does not attempt to manipulate, yet whose actions, simple, deliberate, and measured, bend the currents of her perception toward him. She is drawn not by promises, not by compliments, not by pleading for affection. She is drawn by the silent signals of dominance, by the patterns of emotional consistency, by the subtle dance of scarcity and presence that you orchestrate without effort. This is a dance she cannot name. It is a rhythm older than conscious thought, a pull encoded in instinct, an attraction rooted in the psychology of respect, curiosity, and unconscious desire. You watch as she reacts, subtly at first, her posture leaning in, her pupils dilating, the way her gestures falter with an unconscious weight. Every woman experiences this in different forms, yet the underlying mechanism is universal. She is responding to what she cannot articulate. She responds to control masked as freedom, to strength disguised as calm, to emotional dominance hidden beneath the veneer of patience. Most men are predictable, overt, and noisy in their pursuit. You are neither. You operate in silence, and in that silence, you have created a storm she cannot resist observing, cannot resist engaging with, cannot resist replaying in her mind. There is power in this, but not the power of coercion, not the power of demand. There is a subtler, more intoxicating power, the power of perception. She is captivated not because you force her attention, but because you have shifted the axis of her own experience to revolve around the presence you embody. Every interaction, every glance, every deliberate choice of stillness or motion reinforces a narrative you silently author. You are the constant she cannot predict, the enigma she cannot resolve, the man who requires nothing yet inspires everything. She may not know why she is thinking of you, but she will over time feel the weight of the obsession forming, the internal loop of curiosity and desire that grows without conscious invitation. Most men will never understand this because they mistake action for influence, volume for significance. They flood the senses with words, with gestures, with attempts to prove value externally. You understand that influence is measured not in noise, but in control, consistency, and timing. To stand still while the world rushes is to become the axis upon which others unknowingly pivot. And she pivots in ways subtle, profound, and inevitable. She senses it before she understands it. She reacts before she admits it. And the longer you maintain this equilibrium, the more potent the effect becomes. This is the first secret. Women respond to the man who is immovable in his own perception of self, who is aware of the currents of attention but does not chase them, who cultivates an aura of inevitability that quietly coaxes obsession into being. Observe, but do not interfere. Speak, but do not attempt to persuade. Move, but let every motion be deliberate, every silence weighted with presence. In doing this, you are not manipulating her. You are revealing to her the reality of instinctual attraction, the unconscious alignment of desire and respect. She will begin to think of you in ways that defy explanation, in ways that compel her to return, to reflect, to measure herself against the quiet gravity you embody. Every moment you maintain this presence deepens the psychological imprint you leave. Every woman who crosses your path becomes subtly aware of the difference between the ordinary and the extraordinary, between noise and signal, between the men who chase and the men who stand unwavering. You are not just teaching attraction. You are demonstrating it, incarnating it, embodying it in every deliberate nuance of your behavior. She senses the difference, even if she cannot articulate it. And it is precisely this difference that initiates obsession, not through coercion, not through drama, but through the immutable power of a man fully mastered in his own center. Obsession is not immediate. It is cultivated, seeded by subtle signals and nurtured by consistency. Every pause, every glance, every carefully measured interaction contributes to a psychological architecture that she cannot resist analyzing, pondering, and her mind. She is drawn to the patterns you establish because they are unfamiliar, because they are rare, because they demonstrate a mastery she instinctively respects, but cannot yet consciously understand. And in this gap between understanding and experience, desire festers, curiosity loops tighten, and obsession begins to form. This is the second secret. To create the conditions for obsession, you must first be the man who does not need her, who moves with internal authority, whose behavior is not contingent upon her approval. The paradox is profound. In relinquishing the need for validation, you create the force that compels her mind to seek it. Her attraction is not your achievement. It is a reflection of the psychological equilibrium you maintain, a mirror of the calm, deliberate, and commanding presence that she cannot escape observing. She notices the subtleties first, the way your eyes do not seek hers yet track her without effort, the way your hands remain relaxed, unhurried as if time itself bends to your rhythm, the quiet, almost imperceptible confidence that radiates from your posture, your gestures, and your breathing. This is no accident. Every element of your presence is calibrated not for her approval, but to reflect your own internal mastery. It is this internal mastery that she senses, that sparks the curiosity she cannot suppress, that draws her attention like a moth to an invisible flame. Ordinary men believe they create desire with overt action, with demonstration, with need. You understand that desire grows in absence, in restraint, in the silent gravity of a man who commands nothing but his own center. Every interaction, even the smallest, carries weight. When you speak, you do so sparingly, deliberately, each word measured, each pause deliberate. Silence becomes your tool, and in silence, she begins to fill the space with thoughts of you, speculations, projections of curiosity that she cannot articulate. She wonders why she feels pulled, why the ordinary world suddenly seems to pale in comparison to the presence you exude without effort. This is not magic. It is the art of subtle influence, the deliberate shaping of perception without overt control, a quiet architecture of attraction that begins in observation and solidifies in psychological momentum. She reacts instinctively before conscious thought interferes. Her mind seeks patterns, explanations, certainty. She does not find them because you offer none. She notices your consistency, your detachment, your calm in situations where others would flinch or overcompensate. Each demonstration of composure, each measured response, each unshakable demeanor is a signal she cannot ignore. Women are wired to respond to these cues, to register them below the level of conscious reasoning, to be drawn into the orbit of someone who embodies stability, authority, and presence. What you create is not attraction through effort. It is the emergence of desire as a natural consequence of your self-possession. You move with purpose. Every action is intentional, yet understated. You do not chase, you do not demand, you do not plead for attention. She observes this behavior instinctively, recognizing in it a man unlike any she has experienced before. The paradox fascinates her. He requires nothing, yet he dominates everything. He moves slowly, yet commands immediate presence. He speaks little, yet every word resonates with weight. Her mind attempts to rationalize, to categorize, to predict, but she fails because your actions are rooted in mastery that transcends superficial understanding. You have become a principle rather than a person, an inevitability rather than a variable, and this inevitability is intoxicating. Every glance she casts, every thought that lingers, is an unconscious acknowledgement of your authority. She feels it, even if she cannot name it. Her attention shifts, her curiosity grows, her internal evaluation cycles spin, creating a feedback loop you silently control. This is the mechanism of obsession, repeated, unconscious reinforcement, built on a foundation of calm, deliberate, and consistent behavior. The more you maintain your equilibrium, the more her mind becomes entangled in speculation, fascination, and anticipation. Every attempt she unconsciously makes to understand you only strengthens the gravitational pull of your presence. This is where most men fail. They are loud, they are visible, they are desperate. You are none of these things. You are an observer, a silent orchestrator. You allow the world, including her, to act while you remain the constant reference point. This constancy, paired with subtle unpredictability, creates tension. She wants to predict you, to decode you, to possess certainty about your behavior, yet you offer none. Every moment of restraint, every pause, every measured choice amplifies her internal fixation. She begins to reflect, replaying interactions, analyzing micro-behaviors, measuring the space between your words and gestures, constructing theories that ultimately reinforce the perception of your mastery. The next stage is emotional resonance. She begins to feel, not just think. Her internal compass, which usually guides instinctual attraction, begins to tilt toward you. This is no accident. It is the predictable outcome of consistent, controlled, and deliberate psychological influence. Women are drawn to patterns of stability, to signals of confidence, to behavior that conveys mastery without arrogance. You have created these conditions effortlessly, yet intentionally, and the effect manifests quietly but powerfully. She begins to crave your presence, not consciously, but viscerally, a compulsion encoded in the emotional reward circuitry she cannot consciously bypass. And still, you do not react to her curiosity overtly. You maintain composure, knowing that overreaction diminishes power. Every subtle withdrawal, every display of emotional independence, every instance of patience in the face of unspoken attention strengthens the psychological loop. You are teaching her to value, to seek, to respect, not through words, not through coercion, but through the silent demonstration of control, intelligence, and self-possession. This is the essence of influence, a slow, cumulative effect that reshapes her perception without effort, creating an internal gravity that binds her attention and fascination to you. Now consider the broader mechanism at play. You are no longer just a man interacting with a woman. You have become the anchor of her perception. Every thought, every emotional fluctuation, every assessment she makes unconsciously revolves around the standard you set. Ordinary men react. Extraordinary men exist, and in existence alone, command. Obsession is not forced. It is a natural consequence of a principle lived authentically. By embodying calm authority, by displaying intentional behavior, by withholding need, you generate a field of attraction that operates independently of her conscious choice. She is drawn, she is fascinated, and ultimately, she begins to define her attention and desire in relation to you. The final secret in this stage is understanding timing and escalation. You do not accelerate. You do not push. You allow her psychology to interact with your presence organically. Every micro-interaction, every nuanced signal, every calculated withdrawal increases the intensity of her fixation. Her mind cannot resist the patterns she perceives, even if she cannot articulate them. And with each repetition, the feedback loop strengthens. Attention grows into fascination, fascination into compulsion, and compulsion into obsession. You are not manipulating. You are revealing the natural consequences of mastery, self-possession, and behavioral authority. By the time she fully registers her attachment, it is too late for conscious control. She has been drawn into a psychological spiral initiated by your behavior, structured by your presence, and reinforced by your detachment. She reflects, she wonders, she theorizes, she feels. And in that reflection, she senses the invisible architecture of your influence. This is the power of subtle mastery, creating emotional gravity without drama, compelling attention without words, and generating obsession without effort. She may never articulate the mechanism, but she experiences its effect inescapably, as though the laws of attraction themselves bend toward the reality you embody. By now, her mind is entangled in a web you have spun without effort. She cannot fully comprehend the source of her fascination, the invisible weight that pulls her thoughts toward you, the silent gravity of your presence that leaves every ordinary interaction hollow in comparison. You have become the standard against which all others are measured, not through coercion, not through dramatics, but through the quiet, relentless consistency of a man fully aligned with himself. Obsession, at this stage, is no longer a possibility. It is inevitable, a natural consequence of the internal architecture you have constructed with patience and precision. She senses it in the pauses you allow, the subtle confidence that never wavers, the calm detachment that makes her wonder why she feels compelled to approach, to think, to crave. Each glance you give, measured and deliberate, each interaction framed with intentional stillness, reinforces a psychological loop she cannot disrupt. She projects meaning onto your behavior because she seeks resolution where none is offered. She theorizes, she reflects, she imagines outcomes, all of which serve to deepen the attachment, the fascination, the obsession she cannot consciously resist. This is the third secret. Obsession is not manufactured. It is cultivated through mastery of presence, consistency of behavior, and restraint in interaction. You do not demand attention. You create conditions in which attention becomes irresistible. Every micro-expression, every pause, every subtle demonstration of internal control compounds, like invisible layers pressing into her consciousness. She feels compelled to measure herself against your steadiness, to seek validation from a presence that gives nothing but projects everything: strength, composure, inevitability. And because this is instinctive, because it bypasses conscious choice, she cannot escape it. Her internal reflection now becomes your instrument. She will replay moments, analyze gestures, measure silences. The more she attempts to understand, the less she can articulate, and the more intense her fascination grows. This is the paradox of true psychological influence. The less you overtly act to compel, the more profoundly she is drawn to you. You have become the axis of her attention, the fulcrum of her subconscious analysis, the man whose patterns she cannot predict, whose presence she cannot ignore. She is caught in the gravitational field of a principle rather than a person, and it is this invisible authority that cultivates obsession. Now consider the broader implications. This mastery is not simply about attraction. It is about commanding perception, shaping interaction, and influencing emotional reality without appearing to do so. She responds to the signals because they are rare, precise, and rooted in authenticity. Most men offer noise, urgency, and imbalance. You offer equilibrium, subtle power, and deliberate silence. She cannot resist the contrast. Her instinct measures it, her mind speculates, her emotions respond. And in that response, she begins to feel a compulsion, a magnetic pull toward a presence she cannot fully understand, toward a man whose internal authority she unconsciously admires and desires. You notice it in her subtle reactions, the slight shift in posture when you enter a room, the unconsciously prolonged eye contact, the micro gestures of attention she cannot suppress. Each moment is a reinforcement of the psychological field you have created. And yet, you do not react to it with overt validation. You remain steadfast, composed, and unwavering. The tension grows because she cannot resolve it. The curiosity intensifies because she cannot explain it. This is the essence of Machiavellian subtlety applied to attraction. Power emerges not from domination, but from the deliberate orchestration of perception, timing, and emotional restraint. The climax of this dynamic is transformation, not hers alone, but yours as well. You are no longer a man acting reactively. You are a man who embodies principles that shape reality. She becomes a mirror reflecting your mastery, your composure, your invisible authority. Her obsession is a byproduct, a natural response to the equilibrium you maintain and the subtle, deliberate signals you emit. And as she grapples with the unconscious pull she feels, you observe, untouched by her reactions, aware of the loops you have created, confident in the inevitability of the outcome. Finally, the echo of truth lingers. She may never articulate it, may never fully understand the mechanism, yet she experiences its power inescapably. Every encounter, every reflection, every internal assessment she performs reinforces the narrative you have silently authored. You are the constant in her perception, the invisible force shaping her attention, the embodiment of a principle older than words. Mastery of self breeds mastery over perception. Stillness breeds fascination. Subtlety breeds obsession. She cannot help herself, because instinct recognizes authority before reason can intervene, and you have become the living expression of that authority. This is the mythic truth few men understand, and even fewer embody. Attraction is not coerced, it is demonstrated. Desire is not demanded, it is cultivated. Obsession is not forced. It is the natural consequence of discipline, composure, and intentional presence. And now, as you exist within this paradigm, she cannot escape it. Her thoughts, her emotions, her fascination all revolve around a reality you silently maintain. You are both the cause and the principle, and she, like countless others before her, is drawn to the gravity you represent, unable to resist, unable to ignore, and forever compelled to observe, reflect, and desire.